Oh no! So that was the first clip ever on this camera.
I spilled my coffee.
All right, let me introduce you guys to a new addition here at Wolf Lodge, a brand new camera that I received as a gift for Christmas. Let's turn this thing on and see what it looks like. Hopefully that's a huge boost in video quality going forward with these episodes in the future. What's up, folks? DC here, welcoming you back to another episode of Wolf Lodge. On this episode, I give you a winter update. Did you guys miss me? It's been about 2 months since my last video upload, and just to recap from the last episode on why that is, I went back to work full-time at my seasonal job at a local ski resort where I'm a snowcat operator. In early November, I went back to work, been working crazy hours ever since. The crew and I have been working really hard to get the ski resort open, looking good for customers. I think in the thick of it, right in the middle of all the craziness, I worked 14 straight 16-hour shifts. Crazy overtime. That allowed me to stack a lot of money really quickly, went straight into the bank, and that's going to allow me to take next summer off from work and be up here again for another summer full time. The resort is open 100% now, looking good, and that's allowing me to work a more normal schedule, 40 hours a week, taking my weekends off. I have been taking the last couple weekends off and actually have been coming up here trying to film a quality episode, but this brand new camera has been giving me some issues. Upon starting it up, it goes automatically into time-lapse mode, making the footage look really fast and terrible. I'll show you a couple of those clips now. So as you can see there, a couple messed up clips trying to film up here over the last couple weekends. I have done a firmware update on this camera. Hopefully all the kinks have been smoothed out, and today and tomorrow I can get some quality footage and hopefully put out a episode that I'm happy with. Without further hesitation, let me show you around here at the property and give you a little bit of update on all the exciting things that have been happening. Before we head outside and have a look around, let's see what the temperatures are doing. Inside, 32 degrees. Outside, 37 degrees. That's a bit warm for this time of year, but there's a huge expected cold front coming through tomorrow. And ahead of that cold front, we got some really heavy winds today. It's whipping out there right now. So I'm going to be dealing with that all day today, tonight, and tomorrow. So before we head outside here, hopefully the audio quality isn't affected too much by this wind. We'll give it a shot and I'll show you guys around. So coming outside, one of the first things you'll notice are these massive wind drifts around the structure. Something I've noticed being out here for a couple years are these wind drifts like to accumulate away from all the structures, not really up against the structures, which is a pretty awesome thing, I think. We'll come around back here to the side. No accumulation up against the structure on the sides, but away from the structure, you can see several feet of snow here. We'll take a look out back here. And massive wind drift back here, massive snow accumulation, but nothing up against the back of the structure. Give you an idea of how much snow is back here. I'm gonna set the camera down. I'm 5'9" and I'll go stand next to this wind drift here. So I'm 5'9", and that wind drift, that snow accumulation back here, got to be over 6 feet tall. Get an idea. Start to get an idea of the roof here. How much snow is up there? I'd say 3-4 feet on top of this roof. Everything looks to be holding pretty well. Structure looks still good shape. And we come back here. And if you've seen some of the episodes from the fall, here's the lumber mill. Before I left for the winter up here, I protected this lumber mill head with a wooden structure. Looks like it's still holding pretty good, protecting the lumber mill head that's inside there. Track completely gone. Probably under 5-6 feet of snow here, but everything looks good back here. And saving the best for last, when we come over to the side here, you can start to get your visual of what's going on over here. As some of you could probably guess what this is. Got a pipe running out the structure, up the side, through the soffit, and exiting the roof. Can you guess what that is? It brings a smile to my face. Let's go inside and get a better look and see what's going on. And as some of you have guessed, the wood burning stove is installed and running. So those of you who've been following around on the series saw that this fall I hiked this thing in on my back. It was still something that a lot of people are still talking about. Probably 160, 170 pounds with the fire bricks in it, carried in 1 mile on the trail. Well worth it, I can say. It's hooked up, running, providing heat, and every step with this on my back was well worth it. So before installing this stove, I thought a lot about making an in-depth video on a stove installation. So I started doing a lot of research since I had no prior knowledge of how to install a stove, since I've never done one before. I started doing a lot of research because I wanted to pass on good information. But what I've come to find out that's very interesting is distance requirements differ based on the model of stove. I found it pretty funny that when I watch a YouTube video, a guy would have no problem saying, okay, from the top of the stovepipe to the ceiling is a minimal of 12 inches. He had no problem saying that. What I want to pass on is that distance requirement may be different. Like in my example, that distance requirement is completely different based on the model of stove. So I decided to go against making a very detailed informational video on a stove installation. But what I do want to pass on is what I found out is all the requirements necessary when it comes to distances are labeled on the back of this stove, and I'm sure many other stoves are the same way. So everything that I needed to install this stove comes labeled here on the back of the stove, and that's a beautiful thing. Pretty tough for me to fit back here, but as you can see, everything, all my distances are all labeled right here. 8 inches from the back of the stove to the wall, 8 inches from the stove to the sides, and it's hard for me to see, but distance from the front of the stove to the front of the hearth, all labeled there. And then you come over here, and proper distances from a 90-degree elbow to the ceiling, everything is there. So that's how I would like my stove installation instructional video to go. Not sitting here and explaining all the minutia and jargon, but just passing on the information that, hey, everything that I needed to install this stove was all labeled there on the back of the stove. And that's a beautiful thing. Let me give you a little tour of this bad boy. I started with building a hearth 4 inches off the ground with a layer of OSB and then a non-combustible concrete board on top of that. Kind of got the same thing going on the back here, but what I did do was take 1-inch copper pipe fittings and give myself a little bit of an air gap back here, a 1-inch air gap in between the OSB and the non-combustibles. Just less likely of a problem ever happening with this air gap back here. So when it came to installing the stovepipe, I used single wall pipe exiting the stove, redirecting through a 90, exiting the structure through what is called a wall thimble. I didn't do straight pipe through the ceiling because there's a loft up here. I didn't want stove piping going through a loft when people are sleeping up here and whatnot. So I used what is called a through wall kit, and I saved the little diagram that was on the box that the kit came in, and you could see here, got our stove, pipe exiting the stove, going through a 90, going through the wall thimble that I just showed you, and then hitting a T. And this is a pretty cool part. I'll go outside here in a second and show you this T, but the smoke hits the T, goes up vertically, and exits the structure. Let me head outside and show you this T and why I think it's a cool piece. Come around side here and you can get a look at the part that I was just showing you on the diagram. This T, smoke exits the structure, hits this part, flows vertically out and into the air. What's cool about this part is this bottom piece comes off, and what that allows me to do is run some sort of cleaning system through this section of pipe, allowing me to clean this portion of the system. All right, if we come back inside, there's a couple things I want to point out really quickly. When it comes to this setup, obviously it's far from complete. There's still a lot left to be done. A couple pieces of concrete board need to be added, extended up to the ceiling to cover up this OSB. And this summer, I want to hike out some really good looking tile and cover up all this concrete board to make this area look complete. Far from done, but for right now, it's good enough to hold a fire and heat this structure comfortably. A couple accessories I have to complement the stove. Nice large pot for melting snow so I can stay hydrated out here. Nice cast iron skillet for warming up meals, and my favorite, this stovetop fan that runs off the heat of the stove alone. No electricity needed. What this fan does is pushes all the warm air that this stove creates and pushes it out into the rest of the structure. Before we light a fire, we'll do one more check of the temperatures. 38 inside, 38 outside. Let's see if we can't get that inside number a little bit higher. Without further hesitation, let's start a fire. Let's go see what kind of temperature difference we have. Look at that, 48 degrees inside. Already a 10-degree difference. So for those of you who've been following along on these episodes, maybe you can remember back to last episode where I talked about, since the lumber mill gets completely covered with snow during the wintertime, rendering it useless, construction comes to a halt up here. No wood production on the mill means no more building. But I still want to keep coming out here throughout the winter on a pretty frequent basis with a group of friends and put out some skiing and snowboarding edits. Maybe you noticed over my left shoulder what appears to be a jump forming. Maybe I can zoom in and post editing, but where that shovel is a large jump that I've been working on for quite a few days. So the grand idea is to be in this structure, open up this door completely, be standing here with a pair of skis or snowboard, click into them, drop down an in run, hit that jump, and hopefully land safely on a landing that's about 20 feet away. With what remaining light I have left, I'm gonna head out there and continue work on that jump. Alright guys, while I was out there building that jump, the camera battery died. Just put a quick charge on it, enough to get one more clip for the day. The sun has gone down, night has arrived. I got a beautiful fire going, dinner in the skillet. That's gonna be it for me today. I'll catch you guys in the morning. Good morning guys, and what a moody one it is today. Got the winds whipping up pretty hard out there. The expected cold front to come through looks like it's on the horizon, but what's frightful outside is delightful inside. 58 degrees inside, 22 degrees outside. I think I'm gonna try to brave this weather for a couple hours, do some more work on this jump and in run, get it to a hittable condition, and then I'm gonna pack up and get out of here, try to beat some of this storm, get out in front of it, and head back to civilization. So for right now, head outside and brave this weather. I'm really not looking forward to it. I think this warm cabin's kind of making me soft. So to combat that, I'm gonna get my butt out there and do some work. Alright guys, just spent about an hour and a half working on the in-run and jump. It's a rough draft. That's because it's going to snow over the next couple days, changing the whole landscape here. And a final draft will be dug in when we go to hit this thing. Let me give you a run through on what's going to happen here. So, as I said yesterday, an athlete's going to be standing here with their skis, snowboard, and Open up the door. Step out and then drop in. Come down this ramp, in run. To the jump, and there's the landing. About 20-30 feet away. Landing is on the back side of this. It looks a little rough right now. That's because I've been boot packing it. I boot packed it about 3 times to get the snow to stay there. It's gonna snow over the next couple days, like I said, and make this all nice and soft and pretty. That's the grand idea. Only the future will tell if it works or not. You definitely want to see this thing in action. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. And I think the next time I come out here, we're gonna give this thing a shot. The storm hasn't hit yet, still on the horizon. This thing is ready to go. So I'm gonna pack up and get out of here and hopefully beat this storm. But I'll be back here next week or two and we're gonna give this thing a shot. All right guys, just completed my 1 mile trek from the property out to the road. If this spot looks familiar to some of you who've been following along on the episodes, that's because this is where the truck gets parked in the summertime. And then the 1 mile trek to the property starts from here. This is the road, several feet of snowpack on top of it. Obviously the truck's not coming up on this. Snowmobiles have been using it. Unfortunately, my snowmobile is not working at the moment. So my 5 mile trek that starts right here back to town is going to be on that guy right there. Oh man, 5 miles from here to town, several thousand feet of elevation drop. Let's get this party started. Made it. All right, just made it back to the car just in time too. The battery on the new camera died. All good though. I'll end this episode on the old camera. Snowboarding down with an overnight pack 5 miles was definitely not easy, but made it here safe and sound, all good. Next time I come out, hopefully I'm with a crew of friends and we hit that jump that I built. So if you want to see what that looks like and catch future episodes, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. And as always, I'm DC, hoping to see you next time here at Wolf Lodge.